Yay. So is there anything particular you want up first?
You have those,
Yeah, I'm gonna go
and get some of those pulled up.
yeah.
Just let a property management company, is that on our resource page, do you know?
It is, it should be. Atlanta Partners, yeah. Atlanta Partners Property Management,
Yeah.
yes. I give them everything because technically you're not supposed to run credit, you're not supposed to do any background and all that, so.
No, I don't wanna do it.
Yeah, I would do
I
it.
wanna be able to see, how long they think they would take to lease this property.
Yeah, Donna Hesketh, I have her phone number.
Okay, thank you.
So you say you take the listings for the rental, but you do not do any of the.
No, I refer it all. I don't even.
You don't even take the listing for the renter, okay?
Because then all I get is calls, rentals,
yeah, that's
people
true.
wanting me to show.
Oh, yeah, no.
And it's bad. It's bad. It is. Talk about, like when you get a new listing, you get bombarded. Yeah, it's way worse.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not.
Well, and so, but we could list it too though, right?
You could list it, but then you would need to talk to Donna.
Got it.
How, like, if you want, they do the qualifications and stuff like that, but.
For the renters.
Yeah, there's just so many guidelines you have to abide by, and COVID guidelines you have to abide by, and it's just too much to know and learn that I just.
Yeah. But I did a lot of property management in Illinois. But
Yes.
I did that for like 7 years. But it's definitely different down here.
It is.
But they were interested possibly in leasing in Selma, but I think leasing might be best. We just want to see how quickly they can get it done, to be honest.
Yeah.
So because we need that a lease for us to.
What part of town is it?
Marietta.
How many homes are on the market? Do you know about price point they're looking at?
So it's weird. It's not a lot of rentals. When I was looking at MLS, it was not a lot of rentals in their area, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And their home is like a 2019 built. So it's a newer home, 5 bedrooms, 4 baths.
It'll go like that.
So yeah, it wasn't a lot of rentals in that area, to be honest. But yeah, it's in a great area. Good schools. Yeah, they just bought it for they relocated. But the husband's father.
Yeah.
I have the 7 questions up right now, but I can have anything. Listing presentation, pre-listing presentation script.
Yeah, we can do the pre-listing.
Listing presentation.
But we can have all their faces first,
Yeah.
That'd be good.
Candy, are we able to get a copy of anything?
Yes, I will.
Have City do it. Do you need her to make copies for me?
Oh, no, I have the copy sitting on the, let me go get the copies off the copy.
Okay. That would be awesome.
Did you break your ankle?
People coming on Zoom? Yeah.
Did you break your ankle?
Did I? No, these are just my big old tennis shoes. I wear them on Wednesdays because I run around a lot.
I didn't understand it because it says it's her. I don't know, like I saw that on the.
Yeah, there you go.
I have a couple buyers.
working with.
So how far are you?
Oh, look who's here.
Awesome.
My favorite student. You were on Zoom. I was like, oh no, she's not coming.
I can never miss that.
Okay, I was like, she's always here at my classes. I was so excited that I thought you were going to be on Zoom.
No.
All right, good. I'm glad you're here.
He's so angry.
All right, are we at 1 o'clock yet? 2 minutes.
She asked me, can I have some of your cards? I was like, I don't have cards yet. She was like, give them to me. She's like, give me all 250. I'll give them out every day.
You get me a headshot, I'll get you cards so fast. I'll have them by Friday too.
I'm having my friend Anna take some headshots of me.
You're out of here.
Wait, what they talking about?
Are we on?
Not too bad. How you feeling? You sound better today. You feeling better?
I wouldn't be outside.
Can you see okay? Okay, well, we got 1 minute. Can you shut that door too? Thanks. Oh, I didn't get you. I'm so sorry. Well, I'm glad everybody made it here today and online, the first week of January, right? And please do put on your calendars. I typically teach the first Wednesday of every month at 1 o'clock. So if it's something, just put it on your calendar. That way, if you want to come, you have that reserved. All right, so this year, we're really going to focus on how to get listings. Everything you're going to see in the Market Center is going to be around how to make you a better listing agent, how to give you tools to succeed. Yes, she has them up here. Give her a second so she can unmute these people. So anyway, that's the most important thing. Why do you think it's important for us to focus on listings?
Listings make you last.
That's right. Listings make you last. Do you see things changing in the buyer field?
Yes.
Right.
Commissions, structure, just even that case that's going to Supreme Court about if we're gonna even be required, sellers gonna be required to pay for our buyers.
Yes. So just like even knowing that our forms committee, that has changed the buyer agency form, because what will be happening at listing appointments more than likely coming up is there will be other agents that are not going to fight for a 6 or 7% commission. They're going to fight just to get their 3, and then it will be up to you to bring a buyer and get paid on your own. Like that could be where it's coming. That's what happens when there's a seller's market. Just like you'll see sellers not having to take appraisal contingencies or doing no home repairs, not giving a home warranty. Well, the commission is also something that is subject to their decision, and you will see that this year. You will see that happening on your listing appointments. So it's very important that we understand that listings are how you control your business. And so the purpose of this class today is to just answer any questions that you have about listings. I'm going to go through what I do on a listing presentation, and I want to find out before we get going, though. I like this to be interactive. There's a lot of amazing agents in this room and online, so I want us to be sharing tips with one another. I don't want you to walk out of here without something that you can implement right away. So it's really important. So what is it that you hope to get out of this class today? Because I'm going to write some of those things down. What do you hope to get out of this class today? Yes?
Overcoming objections.
Okay. Okay. What else? Like price, like, what are some objections you're hearing?
That there's a C, even if there's not a B, it's okay to have a C.
Okay. 5%.
So,
5%.
so pretty much this is all done.
Price.
Now we have
Okay. All right. Price.
no reason to have this.
What else? What else are you hearing for those of you going on listing appointments?
I have to.
I have one today and I know they're gonna ask, they're not ready to sell immediately, but when they get ready to sell, they're gonna be looking for another home. That whole,
Okay, the transition.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Those, you know, what's going to hold them up from moving forward that everybody's afraid they don't have a house to move to. Okay. All right. What else do you want to get out of this class today?
It's a cash offer.
Hey, Dominai, Timothy Cox. How are you?
Hi, Tim.
Hey, I would love to.
Oh, sorry. Hold on, Tim. We muted you by accident.
I didn't mean to, I'm so sorry.
Can you unmute, Tim? Go ahead.
Hey, Dominai.
Hi.
Hey,
Tim.
I would love to know what you actually bring. What collateral do you bring to the listing presentation? And what do you send the client or the lead prior to that?
Okay, perfect. Pre-listing and for pre-listing
Package.
package. Okay.
And your unique proposition, I think, is what he meant by what the collateral you bring.
Okay.
So what's your
My unique value proposition?
Yeah,
Okay.
and how we can cultivate our own, I guess.
Okay. Your elevator speech.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have that you can pull up too, Hillary, the booklet? Okay. All right. What else do you guys want to get out of this class?
It doesn't have to be today, Dominai, but I'd love to learn your stats, how you form those statistics.
The statistics that we saw? Okay. I will show you that. Okay. Like the statistics that I use while I'm at the listing presentation, and then the statistics for our team and how we are selling.
What you show us.
Okay, very good.
maybe some like ideas of how to, my focus is on how to create an experience.
Okay, how to create an experience, okay? All right, what else?
Do you have a wow factor? I guess that goes along with her
Sure.
great experience.
Yep.
But like one thing that people like, I love working with Dominai Way because this.
Okay, our wow factor.
Yeah.
Wow, what makes us unique and how we're going to wow them. Okay? Sandra?
I'm getting some leads from a system, from people who really have just worried what their valuation is. How do I pull them in? Because they're saying they're going to be looking in the next 3 months.
Okay, so you're getting home valuation leads, but how do you convert them?
Right. I put together a quick assessment for their home,
Okay,
but
but how do you, what do you say to get them to act? How do you create that
at
urgency?
least the initial
Okay.
conversation.
All right,
You
converting.
want to get an appointment?
Yeah.
You tried.
Oh, Lord. Did you just say that?
Urgency.
Just so you know, Chad is your wow factor.
Chad is my wow. So I do tell my clients, and this is, I can get to this later, but I tell them I'm the wow, not the how, okay? I am the wow because I'm going to get your home sold faster than anyone else, for more money than anyone else. My team, they're the how, right? That's why you want to work
I
with,
like that.
that's why you work with a team, because I'm the wow. There are things that I do great, but the how, that's all them. Don't call me asking about the file and what's going on, because you're not going to want to hear from me on that. That's them. They are the how. So we'll get through to that. Okay, well, let's just go ahead. So is this anything else? I don't want to leave anybody out. Haley.
Mindset, so how do I go against someone like you? The mindset, it's intimidating, how to break that,
How do you fix your mindset?
yeah.
All right. Well, you do that, Haley. You have a positive mindset. It's all about how do we create confidence, right, within us? How do we portray ourselves at a listing presentation with confidence, right? Okay. All right, and Hugh?
The one more thing, if you don't have prior experience of selling house, buyers I have worked with but not listing, how do you convince the other person that
Still.
Right, okay. So you don't yet have the experience, but yet you want to portray them as though you're a specialist, okay? All right, so we're gonna all talk loud to make sure that the people online can hear us. Q, there's one more thing.
Yeah, well, two things. One, I feel left out over here, so I'm gonna move over
All right, come on over.
My other thing was, and I don't know if this is a thing, maybe I'm not verbalizing it correctly, but, how do you work with, sellers who are getting cold feet? Because I've had, a few people looking to list, sign them up, and then when it comes time to go to market, they're like, how do you go?
Okay, so that's part of an objection and just seller doubt and motivation. Okay. All right, and while I have, is anybody, I just want to recognize, I love KW as a culture of sharing. Are there any guests outside of KW in the room? Okay, awesome. Can you just stand up and introduce yourself and where you're at and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes. Yes.
Hi, I'm Tim Rose, a realtor with Maynard Realty, located over in Barrow County. I live in Alpharetta now, and just I know Dominai, working with Katie Pearson, you all know, co-opting. We've been on this long cycle of building a home in Jefferson for clients of mine, and I think we're gonna close this Friday, but I've gotten to know her more than I thought I would over 9 months. So, she wanted me to come, and I talked to Dominai about listening for another client, I think back this past May. But anyway, just wanted to come over here and check out your culture and check things out, so Dominai wanted me to come, so.
Thank you. We're glad you're here, Tim. Welcome, Tim, everybody. Thank you. All right, anybody else? Not KW? Okay, go ahead.
Hi, my name's Priscilla. I'm on the route to get my real estate license and just tuning in and seeing how the really works and is.
Awesome. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Anybody online that we have any guests online?
Tina has a question.
Who?
Tina, hello.
Tina.
Clapping, did I do the wrong emoji?
All right, you did. That's all right. All right, I think we're good. All right, well, it looks like we got a lot of people online. I want to be very respectful of your time, and it's going to be jam-packed full of information. I do talk fast, so if you need to slow me down a little bit or you want any clarity, please just raise your hand. But I want to make sure that I get through my full listing presentation with you, and then, but I want to start out basically by letting you know before the listing presentation happens, just like Tim brought up, we do send out some information about our team, and we're in the process. Sometimes we will email it, sometimes we will deliver it, sometimes we will text it. It just depends. When we find out their preferred method of contact, what's the best way to reach them, then that's what we will do. But on the screen here, you will see, this is something we're turning into an ebook right now. So right now it's just a short thing we made in Canva. It talks about, if you can go back a little and move the bar. Yeah. Okay, so at first we talk about our mission and our promise. What is the mission of our team? And everyone on our team needs to know our mission and be able to recite it, right? Our team's value proposition is, our goal is to meet your needs and exceed your expectations by providing 10 plus customer service and expertise so that you, our client, feel you have made the best decision, therefore referring us to everyone you know. So we understand that by providing you 10 plus customer service and expertise, that our business is going to continue to grow. So we want to treat you as a client for life, and we always want you to feel as though you received the best service and expertise, so you were 100% confident in the decision that you were making. Those are basically our promises to them, to always put their needs first above ours. That's why we may choose to work with some people and may choose not to work with some people, because if we can't meet your needs and exceed your expectations, we'd rather let you down now, or turn you down now than let you down later. So we do talk about this because it does help us decide if we're going to take your listing as well. And that's in what we're going to be talking about soon. So if you want to scroll down, this goes out, like I said, ahead of time. We're going to add a few more things. We don't have a 40-point or a 50-point or a 100-point presentation We basically list our strategies and our promotional style, things that we do. These will get live links, and we're going to have links to some things that people can go to, because we're turning this into a flip ebook. But we have a just listed campaign, an open house campaign, broker to broker campaign, a targeted marketing social media campaign, and a multiple offer strategy. So those are things that we will discuss in the market in our listing presentation. We also list out all of our salespeople, all of our operational people. These will have links to their particular website. These are being set up. And scroll down. I would add a few referrals, like sources that you use, but also have a link to the Google review, or if you're using Facebook or Zillow or any of those. But definitely you can have those links so that when somebody clicks on that, they will see all your reviews. So you don't have to print them in here, but just put a link. That's why we're doing an ebook, so that they can go straight, takes them straight to the Google and Facebook sites. Outpacing the market in style. We just did this for 2021, and we sat down and went through our county averages, and then we went through our team's averages. So our average sales price was $436,000 last year. In Gwinnett County, where we predominantly do our business, $351,500. So we're higher than the market average of 24%. Days on market, our days on market last year were 5. The average days in Gwinnett was 15. So we are 200% faster than the market average. Our list to sales price was 104.5%. The market average was 101.2. So we are 3.3% higher than the market. So just keep it simple like that, and that just says a lot. Now we do go into detail if people want more detail. Of course, we bring all of our stats with us as well. We have 12 North Atlanta locations. Put that on the back. We're a member of KW Luxury, and then our contact information. But not a lot. You can have references, stats, just a brief bio about yourself, and maybe an open letter. I've done that before in the past too, an open letter. But I usually do that in the email. Just an open letter saying, hi, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me about your real estate goals. We understand that you have many options when it comes to selecting a real estate professional. We are honored to be considered for the job of selling your home. So are you guys hearing that? I know it's so, I've said it so many times that it is implanted in my memory. So even if I don't have that booklet, that little letter, it's what I say every single time, because I want every single client to be treated exactly the same. So I internalized it and memorized those things. But it's just a little package about that. We're excited. Please take a moment to review. This will expedite our time together. I have a lot of respect for the time that you're giving to me. If you can go ahead and look through this, that'll help our things move forward. Yes?
Is there a reason why you left out the picture, or your group?
Yeah, we had, by the time we haven't finished that yet, but we will. We'll internalize that on there. We hadn't had that picture yet. So we're just still working on it. Like I said, it's a work in progress, but yeah, definitely if you have a team, put the whole picture of the team on one of the pages so they understand. You can also link some vendors that you're in alignment with. If you don't have a team, link O'Kelly and Sorhan, Supreme Lending, 210 Home Warranty, link Chad and Dominai, we're your broker, David Maxey. You can link other people as resources. Okay, so pre-listing appointment, pre-listing presentation, that's about the most that we do. We have in the past delivered, I think I've been in the business a long time. We used to deliver CDs and on pricing and some popcorn so they could watch that before I come out. I've been in the business 20 years, so it's evolved over time, but it used to be 10 pages long. Now everything is short and condensed. They want it to be pretty. They want it to be aesthetically pleasing, but it is not why they choose to work with you. If you don't have it, it's okay. It's nice to send them something ahead of time, but please don't let that keep you from moving forward. Plenty of times I will walk into a listing presentation with just myself, and that's it. And I've gotten plenty of, got a $2 million listing with just myself. So you don't have to have anything. It's really just the confidence that you're going to portray and the things that you're going to say, and you're going to know that market so you sound like an expert. So next we're going to go on to our pre-listing appointment script. This needs to be completed before every appointment. So no matter who sets the appointment, somebody should be calling ahead of time asking these things. Typically it's somebody else on my team asking these questions. So Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so, I want to confirm your appointment with Dominai tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Is this time still good for you? Before I can come out, or before Dominai comes out, is there any information that you need from us so that you feel comfortable and confident signing the listing agreement when she sees you? There's just a list of questions that you can go through. I shortened it down. Yes, I went to bold and it was like 20 questions, but I have condensed it. I think it's what, 14 now? Can you scroll down? Yeah, 14. Okay. Look, I know you may feel awkward saying these things and asking them. The reason I have somebody else on my team do it is part of it is, hey, Dominai is extremely thorough. Can you please take a couple of minutes to answer these questions so that she feels 100% prepared and, so she doesn't yell at me. I've had somebody say that before, so she doesn't yell at me because she likes to be very prepared. She takes this seriously. So, and most of the time they will answer it. And most of the time your competition is not doing this. So you're setting yourself apart right out of the gate. I know it's a pain in the butt, but when I don't see this, I used to not go on an appointment without this form. And so our team knew that I would open up the CMA that they did, I would open up all the stats, and if this form wasn't completed, I wasn't gonna go on the appointment. Because how many times have we all been on an appointment and you didn't have all the sellers there, right? You didn't have both the husband and the wife, or there was somebody else on, and so you just went 2 hours to somewhere, and now you can't get it signed anyway. And in today's market, if you leave that listing appointment without that signed agreement, the chances of you getting it are like very low, because they're getting consistently called. They can sell their home on Facebook, they can sell it anywhere. If you don't get that appointment and it's signed, then you pretty much are not going to get that listing. So nobody wants to waste their time and drive 2 hours, down to Conyers, and you don't have all the parties there. So those are questions that are on here. So definitely get these answered. Any questions around the preparedness? Yes.
Do you have a friend that that wants you to list their house and they just sort of just not ready yet, but they kind of wanted to talk to you about it? Yeah. Do you recommend still getting a listing agreement signed?
Friends, yes, definitely your friends. Friends can be, I don't know, how long have you guys been in the business? I've done so many things for my friends more than anybody that I wish I would have got those agreements signed. And I wish years ago that we had the ability to get a listing agreement signed and to put off that marketing date for however long.
You can get it signed
Yeah.
if they're not ready.
Yep.
And put the marketing date when they're ready. Right.
Yeah. And then if that date come and goes, then you just amend the brokerage agreement.
Okay.
But yes, so your friends, a lot of people will call you over and you use your best judgment, but don't give away the farm. Right? You got to hold back. You say, when you list with me, we will do this and this. Yes, I can help you with that. I can get all that done, but not until you sign on the dotted line. Do we have some questions?
Teresa had a question.
What if we don't have someone else that can check these questions? And go ahead and start asking them yourself. I want to be 100% prepared when I come out. I want to make sure I do the best job for you. Do you have 2 minutes to let me, ask you a few questions so that I save you time when we come out? And if they don't feel comfortable answering something, to say, okay, I'm going to make a note of that. And my job when I come out is to make you feel 100% confident and comfortable answering this question. So it's okay if they say, I don't want to tell you what I owe on my mortgage. If they don't want to tell you that, that's okay. But I want to know what your mortgage is, because I want to have a net sheet prepared for you. I want to be prepared so that you know exactly what your walkaway price is when we meet. Is that fair? All right, any questions around this, around the pre-listing, getting prepared? Yes.
What type of a net sheet do you use?
I mean, I've done them on FMLS, the net sheets that they have on FMLS, but I also I had somebody create a Google sheet where you fill in the price, you fill in what the taxes were, and it automatically will compute based on the estimated date of closing, what they will walk away with all their fees. Yeah, they also have one in FMLS, don't they? Okay. All right, so being prepared is really big. Like, what you wear around the office or what I wear sometimes at the office is not what I wear when I go on a listing appointment. You need to wear the best clothes that you have. You need to be sharp. You need to look the part. Now, if you're going on a lake property and you have to hike through 10 acres, bring the shoes and the stuff to do that, right? I've always dressed up and wear the best outfits, and then you go out to a lake property and they want you to walk around. You better have boots that you could put on, and you don't have a skirt on, like look the part. So just really do understand that makes a big difference, because whether they're dressed down doesn't matter. The fact that you're dressed up shows that what you're doing is very important to you. Okay. All right, so now we're going to talk about, so we kind of talked about the pre-listing package and the unique value proposition. Anybody else have a unique, I know Tim does. Tim, I'm so glad you're online. Tell us your team's unique value proposition. Yeah, Tim Cox. We're trying, Tim. Ask to unmute. All right, there you go. All right, Tim, let's hear it.
Wow, one sentence.
Okay, let's hear it.
Drama-free real estate.
Love it. So that drama-free real estate. Right?
Yeah.
That's it. Love it. See, it can be simple.
And then we lead in with, so you've probably heard the horror stories as well as the horrific stories. So let's write your story. Thank you.
Oh, I like that.
Love it, Tim. You're awesome. Tim's amazing.
I know, it's gonna take me like a
All right, that's awesome. Thank you. All right, so now being prepared. Everybody's got a unique value proposition. What is something you want to be known for? Whether it's a tagline, we make it happen, the Dominai way. I've had commitment, service, results. It's changed a little bit over the years, right? As you're in and you're growing and the market changes and then you change as a person, now you know the clients you want to attract. Make it whatever your statement is about what you want to attract into your life. I attract a certain type of client with my presentation. So, a lot of people, you'll see this as we go through. I attract a lot of D's and C's in my life from my presentation, because no one's going to go in there with more data and more validity behind you. I do a lot of this. You're going to see this in my presentation. I do a lot of this up front so I don't get the objections, because if you are going in there with data and graphs and detail, the amount of pricing objections that you're going to get and commission objections you're going to get are going to decrease, because people are going to see you as an expert, and that's what they have to see you as, and then they don't challenge you with your commission or your pricing. Okay, so we got all that, so key points to go over. One of the things that we talked about, stats we're going to go into. Let me see the pre-listing. We kind of got that handled. Unique value proposition, what's unique to you. Stats. We kind of went over a little bit of our numbers. You can say, listen, if you're new in the business, use our office stats. My team sold X amount of houses this year. Or I'm on a team that sells this. If you want to get with stats, get with Chatterai, and we'll give you our market center stats, because we're your team.
So we can legally call each other team.
Yeah. That's right. We sold, how much real estate did we sell this year?
$1 billion.
$1 billion, just this market center. So use that. You're on a team that sells $1 billion a year in real estate. Okay, so stats we're gonna go through, but I'm gonna first go through one of the things. It's my 5-minute listing presentation. And the reason I'm gonna start with this is because many a times I've gone on a listing, a presentation, and I should have just stopped after 5 minutes, got the signature and left. But instead I kept continuing to talk and said something dumb and then ended up losing the presentation, losing the listing. So I created a 5-minute listing presentation. And a lot of times, if you do your homework up front with the pre-listing questions and staying in touch, giving them some information about yourself before you come out, maybe you know them. A lot of my friends are 5-minute listing presentations, or past clients are 5 minutes. But I just start out by telling them I have a great deal of respect for their time, but I have 3 questions for you tonight. Do you absolutely have to sell your home? Are you willing to price your home to sell? And other than setting the correct price, do you feel comfortable and confident we can sell your house? So if they say yes to all those things, and other than, you're isolating the price objection, because the price is the price. I don't set the price, the market sets the price. You're hiring me to interpret the price, and I'm gonna help you interpret the price. But other than agreeing on a price that's gonna cause your home to sell, do you feel comfortable and confident that we can sell your house? And if they say yes, then you don't have to go through all of that rest of the stuff. You just stop there. And many a times I have stopped there. But if I ask those questions and they say, well, I don't know, say, okay, perfect. I write down whatever their concern is. And I say, then my job tonight is to make you feel 100% comfortable and confident with all these things, with this. So if they say yes to all the questions, you go back, you sign the agreement, and close for the signature. And as you're filling out the paperwork and they're filling out the disclosures, you can go over some of your marketing things, and here's what you do. And then you can go over the price, but get them to sign the agreement and without the price in it, because the price is the price. So that I usually start out with.
Did I just hear you say sign the agreement without the price?
Get them to sign the agreement, because the price is the price. Because you say, other than agreeing on a price, are you willing to price your home at a price that will cause it to sell? Yes. Do you absolutely have to sell your house? And if they're, well, I don't know, I don't want to give my house away, you're going to hear all those things. But if you have to sell your house, then yes. Like if you don't sell your house, what are you going to do? Are you going to lease it? Do you want to rent it out to somebody? Are you able to put it on an Airbnb? Like you can offer all these suggestions. Like what do you do if your house doesn't sell? But if they have to sell, yes, I absolutely have to sell my house. Yes, I will price it where it needs to be priced. And do you feel comfortable and confident I can sell it? If they say yes, get them to sign it. And then we're going to go through all the data, which we're about to show you. That's basically our listing appointment. Yes, we will tour the house. Okay, so I'm going right into the presentation. Do we look and tour the house first? Yes. You can choose to look and tour the house with the client. You can choose not to look and tour, choose to do it on your own. I prefer to do it on my own, definitely, because I can go faster through the whole house, and I definitely want to see it before I give them a price. But if you have a client who maybe is a high C personality, who wants to show you all the detail and talk to you about, this amazing Corian and the 6-inch trim on the baseboards or things like that. So it has in the past, one time that did kind of bite me, where I didn't bring him with me. I told him I would take good notes and that I would come back, but I do this often. And I just want to be sure that I'm looking at it through the eyes of a buyer. And so I went through the house and I missed a couple of things. And he asked me, well, did you see this? Did you, it was so much that I just said, okay, if you got somebody that's extremely detailed, just let them show it to you. Just let them do it. Because then I had a disconnect. So use your best judgment. But yes, then we would go down to the table, sit down at the table. I always prefer the table. Sitting at a couch, it's just so awkward. You can't show charts and graphs. So there are some clients that want to put you in the couches because they understand that, you know, it's more relaxing. They want it to be less formal and not, but really push to sit at a table. It's more, I can show you my charts and graphs, and I can't really explain it if you're in the recliner and I'm on the couch and somebody else is in a chair. Okay, so I'm keeping it simple. When you sit down, so many people go to a listing appointment and they think, oh, I have so much to remember. Did I ask everything? So I just keep it in very simple. I have 3 goals for our meeting tonight, and then I have 3 questions I'm going to ask you. So if you can just remember, I have 3 goals for tonight's meeting. And then I'm going to ask 3 critical questions. If you just do those things, and everything else will come. You don't have to overcome things. With the goals for your meeting tonight, you're going to review your motivation to sell this house now and agree on a price that'll cause it to sell. So I gave you guys a list of 7 questions that you can ask, but I spend the first probably 15 to 25 minutes of the listing presentation asking questions and not solving their problem. Asking questions. I don't offer a resolution, I just get them talking. So, yes.
What is the reasoning for asking them if they don't sell their house? I'm just thinking, why would you put that in their head? Would you Airbnb it? Would you lease it? Like, why are you asking them?
That's a great question. You're creating pain. You got to create pain. So you'll have 2 types of clients, okay? You'll either have a vitamin client or an aspirin client. They're either going to be looking to enhance their life, meaning they want a vitamin, right? They want their life to be better. They need a move-up house. They want to be on the lake. Like, you need to find out what type of seller that they are. If they are a pain pill client, you're going to have to overcome all their fears and their pain. You're going to have to provide them an aspirin, right? And those are actually, in my mind, those are easier clients to work with because they truly are trying to relieve a pain point, and that's why they're selling their house. So up front, you want to know what type of seller client they are. Are they just selling because the market is doing so well and they're going to make so much money and they're so ecstatic and happy about that? They're moving to the lake, or they're downsizing and getting a second house in Florida. Those are more challenging clients, but you want to know, everybody wants to get out of pain, right? And we have to let them sit in pain a little bit and feel that pain of not selling, of what happens if you don't. Have you thought about Airbnb? Have you spoken to any property management companies? Do you know what the rental prices would go for? Like, ask those questions, and that starts to cause pain, and then they want to get out of pain. And our motivation always is, okay, let me get them out of the pain really quick and let me solve that problem for them. Keep them in that pain a little bit, because then they're going to feel better when you get them out. You relieve that issue for them so quickly, sometimes they don't see the value that you just did. So the questions that I will ask, the goals for tonight, we're going to review your motivation. And I say, because I want my motivation to match your motivation. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, let's see, we got Tim over here, we got Ann. They're going to be Mr. and Mrs. Seller. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the most motivated, how motivated are you to sell your house? Mrs. Seller, how motivated are you? 3 out of a 10. Awesome. Write that down. Awesome. All right. Mr. Seller, how motivated are you to sell your house? 8. Okay, awesome. So we got a 3 and an 8. And I do this on purpose because you want to know where you got to identify, right? Who you're working with, what the challenges are. Mrs. Seller, tell me what makes it a 3.
I'm worried I won't be able to find the kitchen that I want.
Okay, so I'm gonna write this down. Kitchen. She wants the kitchen that she wants. Okay. What else? What else concerns you? 3 is pretty low.
My kids are really happy where they're at school.
Kids are happy in the school, so staying in the same school district is important to you.
Just have a lot of friends here. It would be really difficult to move.
Okay. So it's emotional here. She's overcoming some things. Mr. Seller, did you understand that your wife is at a 3?
I didn't realize it was that way. She told me half that stuff.
Right. Okay.
I wanted to be on the golf course.
You want to be on the golf course. Okay, so let's just review your motivation to sell. Before I came out, you guys said you wanted to be on the golf course, you want to be in a different community, we'll review all this motivation. A motivation of an 8, what would get you from an 8 to a 10?
If we kind of maybe preliminarily talk to some people kind of whisper in their ear, people who maybe already have buyers in your pipeline that want to be in this neighborhood and like a house, the type of Cape Cod house that we have, and with a full basement, maybe then that would be from an 8 to a 10.
Okay, so you're going from an 8 to a 10 is really based on what you think you can find, right? Okay, not necessarily selling the house, but I'm really concerned about Mrs. Seller over here because I work at a 10 motivation. Like I am motivated to sell your house, and I want your motivation to match mine. And I'm going to be honest, I have a challenge going down to a 3, so I need to get Mrs. Seller to a 10, and I really want clarity around what needs to happen to take you from a 3 to a 10.
We find it amazing.
Okay, so it's about.
It's in a great community.
Okay, so it's all about finding the home. What are your concerns about selling the property?
I don't know.
Okay, so their sellers are difficult and they're challenging, but they are because they don't know. A lot of times, the husband and wife haven't really communicated their true, authentic feelings to one another, and your job is to pull that out of them. And so by saying I want my motivation to match you, and I have a hard time selling a house at a 3. There's plenty of agents out there. I can give you their names and numbers, but that's just not me. Like I'm a 10 always. And so how do let's identify. So maybe they say, okay, well, I'm concerned about where to go, and I don't have that perfect house. And I just keep writing down, okay, what does that perfect house look like? What other concerns you have? Just keep isolating the objection until you find out what all their concerns are. Maybe it was what they're going to get for their house, having people come through their house with COVID. Maybe it's going to be, I don't want to have my house, 1,000 people in my house all weekend. I don't want to have my utilities on. My kids are home. They go to school. I don't want to make the beds. I don't want to do all these things. You find out in this first question what motivates them. So the first question I have on the screen was, what has changed in your world? Why, what has brought you to the point where you are wanting to sell your house? And so you can dig there with the motivation. You dig there with the questions, and you stay here. And if you write all these questions down, by the time you're done with your presentation, those are really all you have to focus on, because now you know your objections up front. But don't solve it. Get them to think about it and stay there. What's the second question? Okay, so anyway, the goals are to review their motivation, answer any questions that they may have, and determine if you want to sell the house, if you want me to sell the house. Those are the goals. And sometimes people have a hard time asking that third question, that third goal. First one is to review your motivation to sell your house. Answer any questions that you have and determine a price. 3, do you want me to sell the house for you? And we'll decide if we're going to work together tonight or if I choose to take your listing. You have to feel comfortable saying that. That's called the takeaway. Because if they realize that you're okay not selling their house, then you just kind of gave them a little, like that, like you, it's the takeaway. It's like, we may decide that we're not a good fit, and that's okay. And so now their guard comes down a little bit because they understand that they don't have to sign anything and that you may not decide to take the listing. And you will find if you say that question, they start almost convincing you that they want you to take the listing. Yeah, we'll decide tonight. You know, if we will work together, or if you choose to choose me, and if I decide to take your listing. So there's the first 15, 20 minutes spent asking questions, and that's why I wrote down 7 questions. Now, I do these with buyers too. What has changed in your world? What has you out and about looking to buy a home? What has you out selling a home? You can ask, what are your fears or concerns about your upcoming move? Find out their fears or concern. Again, you're creating pain. You're identifying the pain. Don't solve it. You just say, I'm so glad you shared that with me, and I'm so grateful to be here because I have the exact remedy. I know exactly what you can do. On a scale of 1 to 10, what does a 10 plus experience look like to you? So in our motto, we say we want to provide a 10 plus customer service experience. So what does that look like to you, Mr. and Mrs. Seller? I need to know what you're looking for in an agent. How do we make this a wow experience for you? So you get them to tell you. Because what you think it is may not be theirs. Not everybody wants to make the most amount of money and, and have the best terms. A lot of people may, want to take less for their house and just not have it go on the market. You need to ask them, what is a 10 plus experience look like to them? What is important to you when deciding to work with a top real estate professional like myself? Turn closes around towards yourself. Use the hand gestures to you. What has you bringing a top real estate professional like myself to your house? You have to, those are closes. Those are creating confidence. Those are the statements that you say so that you create the confidence, find out their experience, and there's less challenges. If you not, I also want to follow up, what would it take to make you feel comfortable moving forward? And then whatever they said, if they did say they want the best price with the best terms, who will you hire to help you negotiate the best price and terms? A lot of times they'll say, well, that's why you're here. It's okay. Now you can answer some of their questions, because part 2, the second question was finding out their motivation and how motivated they are to sell. And then 2, you go into the questions. Well, I wrote down a list of questions, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, and with your permission, I'd like to explain our strategies on how we resolve this and things that we've done for our past clients that have been in the same situation as you. Do you mind if we take a few minutes to discuss each one of these items? 1, you're afraid you don't have a house to sell or where to go. And that's, I will tell you, in 20 years of selling real estate, almost 2,000 homes, I've never sold anyone homeless. Not once. So you use your stats. Sold over 2,000 homes, been in the business 20 years. Never has anyone been sold homeless. So I have a 100% track record of finding people houses. Here are some ways that we do that. I understand this is a concern. When you work with our team, we have several options that have worked for our clients. Recently, last month, I had a client that I knew as soon as we put our house on the market, it was going to sell within 2 days and she would be under contract. And we haven't gone out to look at one property. So what did we negotiate? There were several things that we have, several tools in our tool belt, things that we do. One, we negotiated a 2-month lease back for her to remain in the property for 60 days. Would that make you feel better to negotiate something like that? So just draw on experience, things that you've done in your past or that you hear about. We do, right? But say, in my experience, those are very important words. In my experience, this has worked best for our clients, not, I think we should do this. I think we can try this. No, you have to use confident words. So people see that you're drawing on examples that you've done. Maybe another thing is we've done a reverse contingency for a seller. So when you sign with me tonight, I will explain a reverse contingency, how you have the option to terminate the agreement if you don't identify another property to move forward. Would that make you feel comfortable moving forward tonight? They'll ask me to expand on it, and when you sign the paperwork with me, I'm going to go elaborate on it. Mm-hmm. But that is something that we have put in place over the past few years with the current condition that we're in. Would that make you feel good to know that you had a reverse contingency for yourself to allow you to break the contract? Yes.
Have you applied that?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, have you used that
Many times, many times.
Wow, Dominai, every time I read this kind of this, I'm like, what kind of selfish sellers is it? And you were doing that?
Yeah, yes, but isn't it great? And I'll tell you why we get to do that. Because we know how to price the home. When you price the house right, you're going through all these terms. So we're kind of moving a little bit ahead, but yes, when you price the house right, who's in the driver's seat? When you have 10 to 20 offers versus 1 or 2, right? And so I'm making a tally. Would this work? Would this option be good for you? We'll go in more when you sign this, but would this make you feel better? Now, Mrs. Seller, are you still at a 3? I've helped plug some of these. Are we at a 5? Where are we at? Okay, like if we're still at a 5, that's okay. I'm just wanting to check off. And so I will communicate, and I make a little funny joke about it. And like, because my goal tonight is have you at a 10 where I'm at, to get your house sold. And that's really what I want for you, because I know this is a challenge because we do this every day, but they don't see it. They don't go through this. Okay, so what are other things that we can do to offset people not finding a home?
Yeah, good question.
Yep.
About that, but so in previous markets, they didn't do a whole lot to their house, right?
Yeah.
In this market, not so much, but you still get that seller who wants to walk through the whole house. Do we need to, do we need to paint? Do we need to do this? What about that ceiling fan? All that. How do you shut that down so it doesn't take an hour to walk through the house?
Yeah, and that's hard. Like walking through the house and somebody wants to show you every single thing. There are some that I shut it down really well by saying I want to look through the house through the eyes of a buyer and just run through it really quickly, because at the end of the day, if you tour with me and I'm looking at it through your eyes, I have just lost perspective, because honestly, the way you view your house really doesn't matter anymore. It is how does a buyer look at it. So because we work with buyers and with sellers, I know right now I'm here to talk to you about selling your house, but in order to best serve you, I have to first go look at it through the eyes of a buyer's agent. And so that's, if you could just give me that permission to do so, that way you will see the feedback. I'm going to be able to give you feedback from the buyer's agent perspective, because at the end of the day, that's who's buying your house. Don't you agree? Just getting them to disassociate. Don't call it a home, call it a house. They'll say, oh, you have a lovely home. Don't over-compliment the home either. Over-complimenting really can get you in a bind, right? Because we're always like, oh, it's so beautiful. I love those. That mauve carpet, it's awesome. You know, but no, don't be so friendly because you gotta wheel that back. Yes.
So when you're doing a walkthrough after the sale, you recommend everyone is not the housekeepers or kept their home well to be present on the market, right?
Right.
So do you recommend like, okay, maybe get carpet cleaned or just paint this wall or, because I've gone into some houses literally where the cabinets are on the floor, the kitchen, frames coming off the wall. So how do you handle it that way?
So you can give a price for the current condition. You can give a price for if you do just some simple little inexpensive things. And you can give more than one price. Or you can, I want to unload this price. You can give more than one price, but I do want to make sure we get into that. But yes, I usually in today's market, I do recommend paint still because when you paint a home, it will make everything else look better. And if it's not neutrally painted and it's red and green, I don't care. You're painting it. I don't want to take a picture of that. I won't even show it on the internet. I'm sorry. I won't. And I tell them that because you're there to be honest, right? And I know it's going to come up in feedback, so why not just address it now? Say, HGTV has done wonders for houses, but it's also it's also a curse. My house is dated. Any house that you haven't redecorated in the past 2 years is dated. And I know that. I tell them that. I'm sure my house is dated, but I'm not the one selling it, putting it on the market. So this, that dark chocolate and reds and all that, it's got to go. It's white. Everything's white, sterile, clean. So just be honest with people.
So I've seen sometimes people with staging specialists. So do you take them with this time or?
Yeah, you're about to make $20,000 to $30,000 to $50,000 more than you would have last year. Go get a pod, get it out. It's got to go. And because I will not take pictures until it's minimal. How you lived in the house is not how you were going to sell the house.
Do you talk about that right now or?
Once they sign. Once they sign, they're like, what do I do? What do you suggest? You know what? I've got my notes here. I have a whole strategy on staging, and we're going to talk about that once you sign the agreement. Because so many times we've tried to help and win them over, and then somebody else comes in behind and they did everything I told them to do, but I didn't get the listing signed. So if you just say, once you sign the agreement, we will discuss all of that.
So staging, do you ask them to pay or do you pay for that?
No, I don't pay.
I mean, and you don't really have to stage these days. I mean, you have to declutter.
Right.
But you're not having a stager.
Right. Now, I have staged in market. I have done. That was part of my listing presentation 3 years ago. But we're in a different market, right? So
the house is cluttered and the pieces have to be removed.
Yep. Tell them once they sign. And you may even make an appointment to come back. So typically when I sign the agreement, I pick my stuff up and I bolt. And I say, I'll come back on Tuesday and we're going to go through the house. And before the photographer comes out, before I say something stupid, sign it and go. Make an appointment to come back, go through and fill out all the forms, leave, sign, go. I'll leave you the homework, we'll come back and get it, we'll put the lockbox on Tuesday, we'll do all this stuff later. Just leave. You take my advice, I've lost too many listings. Okay, so keep it simple. 3 goals, 3 questions. 7 of them are here, some follow-ups, and then you just go in for the closings. Do you feel 100% comfortable and confident I can sell your house? But after these questions, we're going to go through what really knocks my clients out of the park. So you feel comfortable and confident, you agree with me, you feel good about it, other than setting the price. Are you ready to list with me? Yes, great. We're going to start the paperwork, and then we're going to go over the price. But I get that agreement. Like, Are you comfortable and confident? Is it other than the price? Is there any other concern? Well, I want to talk to another listing. Okay, back up. I want to talk to another agent. Okay, so then obviously I didn't do a good job. What concerns you? What about my marketing plan, my strategy that I showed you before, the questions that we're all handling? What concerns you? Well, I don't know how you're going to get me the best price. So I go back to my multiple offer strategy. Here's how we do it. Here's what I do. We have a just listed campaign. This is what we do. As soon as we take the listing, here are all the things that our team does for you as soon as we take the listing. We have an open house campaign. We open house on Thursdays. We go live on Friday, the open house on Saturday, regular visits on Sunday. Here's what we do. Here's our spreadsheets for multiple offers. Here's the questions that I ask all the agents that are presenting. Here are all the things. So if they're still not comfortable, confident, I will go through those strategies, the just listed, the open house, the multiple offer strategies, the negotiation strategies. I will go through all those and tell them what we do. Most of the time I'm doing that though when they're signing the paperwork. I'm telling them how we work. Now, then I tell them there are two types of sellers, and I just want to know which one you are. Because there's two different ways to sell a property with price. You can set it up a little higher than the norm, than what the market is showing, and you can wait and hope that somebody comes in and pays your price, and we're going to have one buyer here or one buyer there, and we may be on the market, 10 days, 30 days, or you can choose what 100% of my clients choose, and that's this strategy to sell your house by pricing the house just a bit ahead of the market with our strategies in place so that you get 10 to 20 offers and you get all these terms that you said were important to you met, and then we can make that happen. So let's go show them the data. So first I start with, we're going to go out to the county. We're in Gwinnett County, so I tell them I start to educate them on the market. Here's what the market is. Let's go to, move that down. Average sales price. Okay, so everybody know this is in FMLS. And this is the first form I put out. And I show them this is the market in Gwinnett or North Metro Atlanta for the past 10 years, since 2011, when the average sales price was all the way down at the bottom. And look what happened in 2020. Look at 2019 to 2020, and then look at 2020 to 2021. Is that a shocking graph to show your clients? So, if you're thinking that it's not a good time to sell, this says otherwise, right? When have you seen that gap between May of 2020 to May of 2021? That's insane, right? So this is the market that we're in. Now go to the one about let's go to inventory. So that's the average sales price, and this is why, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. This is our average inventory in the North Metro Atlanta. And in green, you'll see 2018, maroon, 2019. What's happened to the inventory, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, since 2018 till today? That's the least amount of inventory we've had. But what's happened, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, since March of 2021? Starting to climb. Mm-hmm. Inventory starting to come up. Again, it's still just barely over the lowest month, December of 2020. So that is showing you that it's stayed about the same, but it's increased. So is it possible, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, that February and March of 2021 was the lowest inventory that we may see? With the news coming out of the inventory coming on, as you can see, typically, if you look back over the years, it's January now, by May in 2018 and May in 2019 those were the highest inventory months. So we want to get you on the market before May. We want to get you on the market and sold before that. So you can use this graph to show history and trends.
Can you print that, or do you
I
just
print
put
it.
on your computer?
I print it and I show them, I don't make the market, I study it and I can interpret it so that I can position your home to outperform all the other homes on the market. That's what I do best. That's what you're hiring me for. I don't make the market, I study it and I interpret it. And that's what you're hiring me for. Is so that when we position your home to outperform all other homes on the market to get you the best price with the best terms that are very important to you.
How narrow or broad do you go in when you?
So I start broad and then I narrow in. So we're gonna go down to, you can use the listing sold. And this graph confuses me. So it confuses the sellers too. Does that confuse you looking at it? Yes, but if you study it and you know it, you can talk about it. I do bring it to confuse and show them why they're hiring me. Okay, I want you to be confused because I want to now show you how to interpret it, and then I am showing you my expertise, right? We start down here in 2021, 2011, and this is the amount of homes that we're selling. You know, obviously the peak for 2021 was in June, so that means the homes that sold in May, the most amount of homes sold in June, but they're under contract in May, just so you know. So really, if you're under contract in April, you're closing in May, but June was the most closed homes. So you gotta teach them to go backwards. So you need to be on the market by March so that because the more homes that close, that means the value is lower because that means there was more homes available. Now, if you go back into 2020 with the blue line, you know, it peaked in July. The most homes sold was in July. And then you can see it driving, and we don't want that to happen. So if you're in the market now, we're looking at the beginning of the year, you can see in 2021 over here, this is where everything always starts out the lowest in January. It starts to peak in February, but look at last year. March was the biggest climb. So we need to get you on the market now so you can sell in February and close in March, looking off of that based off of last year. So anyway, I include that. I also will bring out the stats overview. There's a cover sheet in FMLS. Sometimes I'll start with this and I'll highlight some things showing them the difference between last year and this year. Scroll down to the bottom. Total of active listings in November of 2020 was 20,000. In November of 2021, there was 17,000. So more than 3,500 less homes in November of this year than last year. In October was 16,000 in October of 2021. So we just had an increase of 1,500 homes. You can just show them this and highlight this. And these are the things that I leave at the listing presentation. People ask, what do you leave? Because I already said those things. I will leave the stats and highlights of things that I did with my card stapled to it so that they remember this is what I did there. They don't leave any fluff pieces, you know, all your reviews and all that. Leave the data that you did. That's more impactful.
So most of the time, when we say that prices are higher and the inventory is low, the simple response they take is that will I be able to find a house for a good price? I'll also have to overpay.
Yeah.
How do you overcome that?
Well, listen, you can't have it all. Okay, you just can't.
You either make a lot of money or you spend a lot of money.
You're gonna sell and you're gonna make a lot of money. The great thing is the interest rates are the lowest they've been, and they're not going to continue to be. So if you're thinking of buying in the next few years, buy now because you see inflation, right? You see the prices of gas. You can't sell high and buy low in the same market. You can if you wait, but trust me, the interest rates, I mean, they're going up. So.
What's the I was gonna say, what was that line you said before? The three things, either gonna sell fast.
Okay,
or,
so
what was that?
we're gonna go over, okay, and I'm gonna bring this here, thank you for bringing that. Okay, and so you know, some people that coach with me, I have done this for you guys a few times. But I will talk to them about commission or, there's three things and everybody wants in life, okay? It happens, I can do this with my kids on any situation. I can do this about people wanting to come to our market center, or you know what, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, this is what majority of my clients, when I meet them, these are their three top priorities that I see over and over again. They want their home to sell fast. And they want, what is it, cheap, fast, what is it, good? Cheap. They want a good experience, right? No drama. They want a good experience. They want it to feel good. And they want it cheap.
What cheap?
They want it to be cheap.
The service.
The service.
The service.
This is what majority of the population wants when it comes to selling their home. Fast, they want it to feel good, and they don't want it to cost very much. Okay? And so everybody that, except for Haley, because Haley and I coach together. So, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, what are your two top priorities? Can't have three. What are your two top priorities? So somebody, what would you, if you were a seller, what are your two top priorities?
Fast and good.
Fast. You want it to be fast, you want it to be a good experience, and it won't be cheap. I'm not cheap. Our team isn't cheap. We know what it takes to get to the closing table. And a lot of agents can sell a home fast, and they can get it under contract. They can't get it to the closing table. That's where we come in. Now, you may have some people to say, we want it to be fast and we want it to be cheap. And they say, well, it ain't gonna feel good. It's not gonna feel good. It's not gonna be drama-free. We will, maybe you have somebody that can get you under contract fast. And they're only gonna charge you 3% commission and they're not gonna pay a buyer's agent. You can say these things up while they're there. They're not gonna pay a buyer's agent. It's not gonna feel good. You're gonna have a lot of sleepless nights. You're not gonna be able to get a hold of them. I know, because I work with them. I can't get a hold of them, and they're my co-ops. So I end up doing their job for them, just to get my clients sold. I know who they are. I know those companies. So you just say those things. Say, that's not us. See, we don't know how to work where we can't be fast and make it feel good. We don't know how to do that. That's not who we are. So we might not be a good fit, because if that's what you want, but this is what you're expecting, that's not us. Right? So if you saw that happen, if they did that in front of you, would that be hard for you? Does that feel like a challenge for you to say to people? Do it. You can do any situation. Right? You can. This is what people want in the world. But they get two. So which one are you willing to sacrifice? Which two are really the most important? Because if it is cheap, and if it is good, then it won't be fast. You're not gonna sell fast. So that's it. That's what I have to say on overcoming objections to price. The only other thing is, as I go through all this, and I'm gonna keep showing what I do, I get very little objections over commission, because I am showing my expertise. I'm differentiating myself. And now they are saying, yeah. So, hey, most agents are gonna charge 3%. You know, we give 3% to a buyer's agent. And we're still doing all this, unless you get my team, you get all of our alliances, you get all this, and it's just another 3%. So let's go to the next section. Now this is the wow. You said, how do we wow people? I don't care who they are, if they're at high S, at high I, they all love this graph.
I'm sorry, I lost
Where do you
It's
get
info
that?
Sparks.
Is that in-
This is all on FMLS.
So it prints out the wording like that?
Yeah, we might need a stats class.
but I never knew.
That might be a good
Yeah,
class.
I'll do that next.
Sally with FMLS is coming.
Yeah, okay, so this is InfoSparks, it's under FMLS, it's under, statistical reports. You go into InfoSparks and market stats. So then we're gonna start broad. This is Gwinnett County over the past year. And if you hover over, we're at the bottom tab which says sales price. You can watch Mr. and Mrs. Seller, how at the beginning of the year, go to 2021, if you can find it in the middle. 2021, there we go. The average sales price in Gwinnett County was $290,000. Now go to December, you should be around $375. Yeah, $375. So that is the average sales price in our county. Go to the new listings tab at the bottom. You can see over the past year, we go to the 2021, which I think is right here. In January of 2021, we had 1,126 homes for sale in January. The peak of the market went up, I think, right there in July at 1,848. And now we are slowly declining, and we're under 1,000 homes for sale in Gwinnett County. That's the entire county, 913 homes for sale. So, do you think that's a great time to list your house? If you're only competing with 913 homes. All right, homes for sale. You'll see this is when homes go on the market.
Here's where I have the trouble.
New listings.
That there are that low number of homes on the market, but I gotta buy one.
Okay. That's why you're with a top professional like me. Again, remember I told you I never sold a home homeless. We're gonna talk about that. Because right now, I really wanna keep you on why you need to sell your house. Really wanna stay there. Pending sales, you can see right now, we have the lowest pendings out of all, even last year. Last year at this time was 995, what are we in, 800s? 832. Go to days on market. Move that black thing, you can see here the days on market. So right now in Gwinnett County, the average days on market is 7. So if your home is on the market longer than 7 days, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you are above average. So our goal is to sell your home in under 7 days. Because if you're on the market longer than 7 days, it's either price, condition, or location. It's not location because Gwinnett County is 7 days. It's either price or condition. Shows depending. Right now, 19, the amount of showings this summer, 31 in March. The average seller right now is getting 20 showings in 7 days. If you don't have 20 showings in 7 days, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, it's either price or condition.
What if the seller says, no, it's your marketing strategy?
Let me tell you something, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, that most agents will not be honest with you about. 90% of my marketing is price. That's why I spend so much time researching price, because 90% of it is price. I still have to target, we do social media, we call agents, we do all these things to blast it, but at the end of the day, if I'm just telling people, hey, I've got an overpriced listing, it's not gonna help you sell your house.
But if you priced it right, then it would be priced.
Right, but this is showing them, if you don't sell in 7 days, I'm pre-planting what's gonna happen.
Oh, so you gotta go tell them that they need to reduce.
So when they're calling me because they didn't sell their house over the weekend, it's because of the price. If they didn't price it where the market suggests, you now have something that's like validifying.
Well, Dominai,
So
to be honest, that kind of comes back to you saying that we didn't set it, we set it together.
Right. But how many times have you taken a listing where they want listed higher than you?
Right.
If they listed higher than you, this is your is your protection. Okay? But this is why they don't list higher.
Yeah.
Because you're going through here, doing all this.
So you bring your computer?
I bring my computer.
Okay.
You can then go up to the top and change Gwinnett County to say Duluth. Maybe the house is in Duluth. Let's look at Duluth over the past year. And then you can narrow it down even further to their neighborhood. I don't think you need the Georgia in there.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can make it more specific. Days on market. Let's look at days on market. 72. What was it? No, 5, 7. 7. You could say shows to pending. And I really like the shows to pending because if they say, hey, you're going to have 31 showings in a matter of days. I have does that stress you out? That stresses me out. Great, because our open house strategy is going to alleviate some of that pain. We're going to hold the house open for 4 hours. We're going to monitor. We're going to have 1 or 2 people, one person working the front, one person working inside. We're going to make sure that we have 2 or 3 families in your house at one time. This is how we're going to alleviate that pain, because I've seen people go, oh, I'm having how many people in 7 days in my house? That's why you're hiring me. We have a strategy to help you with that. Okay. Is this helpful?
Yes. We need a class on this.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So then, of course, then we will go into our CMA. I like everything in 3. 3 goals, 3 questions, 3 comps. The most you will bring, 3 actives, 3 pendings if there are, and 3 solds within the most 30 days.
Okay.
Don't go out to the elementary school. Don't go any further out. If they're in the neighborhoods, if you have comps in the neighborhood, stay in the neighborhood. And I find a listing, an active home that's similar to theirs, it's priced similar, 1 higher and 1 lower.
Mm-hmm.
So they can see what the higher house has, so that they position themselves. Again, we want to be the prettiest. It's like a beauty contest. You want to be the prettiest, right? But you want to be the most affordable. You want to have the most features to outperform the other homes. We want them to be priced to help us sell our home. We don't want to price our house to help them sell theirs. Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, do you agree with the price? And usually I give a range. Like I will give, where do you feel after looking at this market and looking at these comps, where do you feel the house should be priced at? And they say, well, that's why I'm hiring you. And I'm like, yeah, we just spend a lot of time looking at the data. From looking at the data, what do you think? I do want to know what they think first. And usually I know before I go out, but sometimes it changes after this. And then I tell them, if they're in the line, that's fine. And I tell them that I have a different strategy than most agents to list their house. I believe in even numbers. I like a range, 400 to 425, or 425 to 450, or 50 to 475. I like an even range because I find that buyers search for properties in increments of 25,000. As a buyer's agent, if you tell me you're looking for a house between 300 and 350, I don't think to put 299.9
Right.
into 350, right? So many agents are losing out because they're not pricing their house with even increments. So we're going to price it right on the money. Even if I think your house could be priced at 410, I'd rather price you at 400, because sometimes the buyer that is going to buy would cap at 400 and then they push higher because they want your house, because they wouldn't have seen it at 415. So it's sometimes the best buyer for your house is the one that wasn't looking for that, because you're like a shiny penny, or you're like that diamond that they bring out of the back at the jewelry store. Oh, I want to spend $5,000 on a diamond. Oh, but then, and you're like, oh, I don't really like it. Oh, but I got this one in the back. We're going to bring it out, and it's clearer and it's shinier. That's what your house will be, just like that.
Yeah, and plus right now in this market, people know that if they can spend up $425,000 or then they look up to 400 because they're going to be having to pay over list, right?
Yes.
So if they look at the lower price range, people want to pay more.
Yeah, so that's the strategies that most of my sellers choose. You can price it at 415 or 420. I'm not going to say that it wouldn't sell, I'm just saying, you had said getting a reverse contingency is important, or a 60-day after the close. And so from in my experience, when I can go to a buyer's agent and say, hey, we have 10 offers, and here's what's most important to my seller, is this an option for your buyer to do so? If so, you might move to the top of the list. But when I only have 1 or 2 offers, it might be more of a challenge for me to negotiate these terms for you. So based on your motivation and what's important to you and having the best price and terms, my recommendation is you price it here at 400. That's what I would do for myself.
Very good.
Do you put it in the listing that you want the reverse, that you want to lease back or 10 years, 10 days or
Yeah.
20 days or 2 months or whatever?
Mhm.
Do you put that in the listing or you just discuss it afterwards?
Yeah, I have a stipulation that I show them that we put in the, not in the listing, but in the, there are stipulations that I put in the listing, but that's a stipulation I put in the contract. So also with our seller marketing, our multiple offer campaign strategy, I bring what our listing, what's important to them, and I show them what we're going to communicate to the other agent based on what their needs are, and I get their permission to advertise that to the outside agents. So if they say they want a 60-day close or 30-day close with a 60-day lease back, or they prefer to close at this date, or they're looking for short contingencies, or they want full loan approval, or they want, if they're in multiple offers, they want you to get pre-approved with a certain lender, or whatever it is, I put that in the listing agreement, that their terms are that they allow us to say if we're in a multiple offer agreement, and then I have them sign that form, and then we do advertise that in the documents as to here are the terms that the seller, this is the most pleasing offer to the seller. So we give everybody an equal level playing field. And if they choose not to do that, that's okay. But the seller, it saves all those phone calls coming in. What does the seller want? What does the seller want? I post exactly what they want with their permission signed in the listing agreement. Any questions? Did we go over everything? I don't want to, we're at 2:25.
You repeat some of those really cool terms
Which term?
I love them all. I just love them all. So you said the shorter contingency, what did you say about the loan?
The loan?
It's gonna be recorded, it's gonna be on Facebook.
Yeah, so if you're in a multiple offer situation, the seller has to give you permission to recommend that buyers get approved with your lender. Right, so I put that in the listing agreement. They don't have to, but the seller requests, if they're in a multiple offer situation, that to show your buying power. Yes.
I think I've heard this term before, but I need a refresher. What is that reverse contingency again?
Reverse contingency for the seller is where we have a stipulation where we put in the contract that should there's a reverse contingency for the seller, giving the seller the option, not the right, to terminate the agreement within a 10-day period after the sale, should they not identify a property to move forward with.
After binding.
After binding. Mm-hmm. And basically, we've done it 1 or 2 different ways where the buyer's appraisal and due diligence contingency begins once the seller removes this contingency from the agreement. That way the buyer isn't out of pocket for any costs. Or if you still want the buyer to move forward with those things, if the seller terminates, he agrees to pay those fees back to the buyer.
So what are the other options we can use? Like even if we give 10 days after binding, and it's very hard to finish off. I mean,
you got to be on your game.
Has to be.
They got to be committed to seeing property with you, and you got to be on your game to get it.
Even if they agree to a property, the closing takes about 1 month, right? So
yeah.
How to move? Where are they going to move? Or do you
No, they should be under contract in 10 days with another property. Your seller is under contract with another property within that period, and they feel comfortable moving forward.
On the reverse contingency you're talking?
Yes.
Do you do more of the lease back?
The lease back is the primary one.
Okay, that would make sense, right, in this one.
And then also we let, so I show the seller client, here's an offer letter that we do. Here's our multiple offer strategy. Here's our spreadsheet of how a live Google Doc that we're gonna send you of all the offers as they come in. And we're gonna put everything on one document so you can see it all. We're gonna send you the contracts, but I don't want you to get overwhelmed with it because we're gonna put it all on a live doc. This is what we do for our clients because we consistently get multiple offers and we have a whole strategy in place, and that's why you're hiring us. Yes.
If somebody has to buy another house, they have no clue where to buy yet, how much time do you give them usually to lease back? 1 month, 2 months?
If they need to sell in their house, it's really
And
up.
find another house.
Yeah, I mean, the longer the better. If there's a loan involved, the most you can do is 2 months. But maybe it's somebody that's buying as an investor owner, and he doesn't care. It's cash. Maybe he will do 3 to 6. I rented one out this year for 6 months because the person bought it as an investment. So we let the seller stay up to 6 months, but they had the option to terminate if they found a house earlier without penalty. And they did. They found a house in 2 months, but they stayed in. You gotta get creative. When you price the house right, you have more options. When you don't, you don't.
How would you interpret this market? I mean, watching it on anything under 500, anything that's left over is not selling, is a Zillow or OfferPad. I'm not sure if it's the price. I think is okay. I'm not sure if it's a commission. How would you?
The condition. Oh, you mean homes that are sitting?
Yeah.
It's a condition.
Oh.
I noticed that OfferPad actually.
But that's
lists
price
homes-
back to price again.
I think OfferPad lists homes fairly.
Yeah.
But Open Door is.
Open Door is crazy. with
Yeah.
the price.
Because they overpaid for the houses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But isn't condition really in the price too? So it really
Yes.
still comes down to price.
It's still price.
It's still price.
Unless you thought something wasn't gonna be an issue, and then you just own it. If the price was you and something you suggested and it doesn't sell, you take full responsibility and say, you know what? I wasn't firm enough about the price. I misjudged the price. If you own it and take it off of their shoulders, they'll have more respect for you doing so. Because everybody wants that off of them. And then they could say, you could say, you know what? I just was mesmerized by your beautiful decor in your house, and I thought for sure that it was going to sell higher, so I apologize. I overestimated what the buyers would have done. But you know what? I tell them in my listing presentation, after we do our open house strategy, after our multiple offer strategy, if it doesn't sell and Monday I don't have offers for you, on Tuesday, we're having a phone call and we're going to adjust the price immediately. Because I'm not gonna let you sit on the market day after day after day, hoping for an offer. Clearly, I misjudged the market and I will fix it fast.
Dominic, in your experience, when you go get that listing, have you ever had a doubt, oh, can I actually sell this house? Oh, well, we don't play that, right?
Oh, no.
Don't play that.
Yes, I mean, you guys, it is all experience, shadowing people, going on listing appointments with others. I mean, it's nerve-wracking. I still get nervous going on appointments. I just don't let them see it. You know, it's all how you carry yourself, and that comes from experience. But hang out. I went on some appointments with some people that said some things at a listing appointment that I was like, I could not say that. I was sitting at a listing appointment with a mentor of mine, and she's just dressed in like St. John from head to toe. And she's got her earrings and her shoes match her bag, and like she looked like something out of a magazine, right? And back then we were doing 7% listings and fees and all that. And we just sat at a listing presentation, and this owner of CEO of like Coca-Cola said, well, I want you to do it for 6%. And she just looked at him and she said, no. And I was sitting there as a new agent and I was just like, I want to be that one day, you know? And she's like, well, you can find somebody. It will not be me. And so just to say that she ended up getting the listing because she said no. One time, and there was a house in Barnsley Ridge, I'll never forget it. The gentleman, he was a high D, his wife was like an S, so it was really hard to do the listing presentation because he wanted just the bottom line and she wanted to feel good and she wanted all the fluff. And so I was helping fluff and I was like, yeah. And I was back and forth and I just couldn't keep up. And he said to me, I need you to take a hit on your commission of 1%. And I said, no. And he said, well, so-and-so will. And I said, and you should be concerned about that because if they're so quick to cut their commission, how hard are they going to fight for your net profit? And the next day, I didn't think I'd get a call, but he called me and said, you know what? He goes, you were the only agent that said no. Every other agent I talked to was willing to cut their commission. And I got the commission. He's probably one of my best clients now. So you just have to stand firm in what you're doing and go on a lot of appointments so that you can turn down a lot of appointments. Wow. The more you go on, the more you turn down. And you can say, whether I take this listing or not. I've gone on listings where I didn't want it, where I felt like the client and I were not a good fit. And I was saying everything I could not to get this listing. I practiced every close that I was scared to ever practice. And I still got the listing. I was like, I don't want this. No, I'm like, no, we're not doing that. This is how I work. This is how we work. And I kept doing that so when you go on enough appointments, you can practice on the people that you don't want to get. It's serious. It is a great thing. All right, anybody online that I can get some questions out of? I see some chats. Let's see, I want to answer everybody's questions.
Maybe a quick question.
Yeah.
I have an appointment on Friday.
Okay.
And how do you go about controlling the people that you don't need signatures from? Like significant others, boyfriends, girlfriends. I know the girlfriend's gonna be really strong in the decision of his. So how do you go about kind of calming that down a little?
So where you have one person that's not on the house?
That's not really important, but it's important.
Right. Yeah, and that's why one of my questions is, who else do we need to loop in here? And because even if there are people that are not on the deed, they may have influence. Who else is going to be a part of making this decision with you? Do you have family members that are going to weigh in that you're listening to? Because do we need to get them all together? Do we need to include them in on this conversation? Because I want us all to be a united front together because it's a partnership. But if the girl is weighing in, then it's you got to know their personality style. You got to know who's a D, who's an I, who's an S, who's a C. Talk to her, involve her in the conversation, but and make it across the board. This is a big decision you guys are about to make. I appreciate the opportunity to earn your business. I want to be 100% transparent. Something I always ask is, do I have your permission to always be 100% honest with you? And I ask that every listing appointment, because if I do, you're hiring me to be 100% honest. And sometimes that means I'm going to say things that make you feel uncomfortable. And when that happens, it's because I'm telling you the truth. It's not easy for me to say those things because I know that it's going to make you feel uncomfortable. But if you feel uncomfortable, I'm telling you what you need to hear and not what you want to hear. And at the end of the day, I want us to have that transparent relationship, and that's what you're hiring me for.
I have a question. Same sound is it down because I've never done this before. Can you just list down what you do after this to get it sold after that?
After this, they price, sign, bolt.
No, I mean after that.
Sign and run.
Yeah, after that what you do, you go back and you see the house, you do the same.
Yeah.
After that you just put the listing.
Yep.
On the
And we communicate, then we start a communication process after, just because you took the listing, then we go back and it's a thank you for, signing with us. Here's the next steps. Here's what we're going to be doing. Here's when the photographer comes. Then we start a whole nother servicing campaign.
Generally, how much time does it take from your sign the agreement to listing a house? Depends on the house or
Sign until when?
until it's listed on the FMS?
Depends on when they want to go live. But typically we list all our houses on Thursdays because we found that Thursdays gets the most activity in the multiple listing service. So we don't want you sitting on the market for 1 or 2 or 3 days with no activity. We want you going live on Thursdays. And then sometimes we do showings, hold showings until Fridays or Saturday, depending on what the seller wants. But we go live on Thursdays. And then we also advertise it with an open house right out of the gate. Then that way we find that we're capturing more buyers that way. Because when buyers see that there's an open house, they're less likely to go find a Zillow agent or another agent to show them the house because it's being held open. So those unrepresented buyers come to our open houses unrepresented. Gives them an opportunity to capture them as a buyer.
And if they ask you, okay, now, when you open the house, where are we supposed to go? What are we supposed to do? How do you answer?
We'll talk about that when I come back, because we're gonna sit down and we'll have a whole other conversation. So I'll put that buyer agent hat on at that time.
What do you recommend? To go out or?
Yeah. After they have full loan approval. Yeah, I need you to get full loan approval. First of all, I want you to have full loan approval to buy a house before I put your house on the market anyway, because I never sold anybody homeless. We're not gonna start today. So I need you to call my lender, get fully approved, and be ready to go before we put you in the car.
And some people, until they find the house, when people come to see the house, how do you arrange that? For the weekend, ask them to go out?
Yeah. Yeah. Be gone for all day. Give me the weekend. I tell people, give me the weekend, go plan a trip, go away, and let us do our job and sell the house. Let us make it convenient and easy for them. All right, what other questions do we have from anybody else that's here? Anything on your mind, you're like, oh, I didn't get that answered?
Remember you were going to address when they bring up, I stepped out so you may.
It's okay.
Where, they're showing them the chart where your house is going to move real fast, and their biggest concern right then would be, how am I going to find a house?
Yeah, and that's and that's all of the.
That's the biggest thing there.
That's the reverse contingency. That's the 2 months in the house. That's why you're hiring me. I'm a lead generating machine. Myself and my team prospect every day looking for our buyer client, looking for houses for our buyer clients. You want a neighborhood that you want to be in. You want an area. You tell me what you're looking for. We're going to go out. We're not just sitting around waiting for houses to pop on the market. We're calling communities, we're calling neighborhoods, and we're looking for properties, sellers that are looking to sell their house. You just can't be that agent that just sits around and waiting for something to pop up into the multiple listing service. Can't do that anymore. Got to be proactive, not reactive. All right, was this helpful? Was this a good class?
Yes.
All right, thank you to everybody online. And we'll get everybody, if you want to email thank you, Tam. If you want to email Dominai at kw.com, I will get you all of this information if you don't have that. Thanks so much, everyone.
Thank you, Dominai.
Thank you.